in my experience, whether you're rolling out a 5G private network or any network, there are a couple of things that you're going to need to be mindful of, and some things that are unique to the aspects of 5G. The first part is, in 25 years of cybersecurity and looking at root cause analysis across over 12,000 data breaches, what I always saw that were in common with large data breaches and disruptions were gaps in visibility and control, especially on network edges. And one of the things that's happening because of digital transformation and 5G enablement is that we have more network edges appearing than ever before. And so if I were advising anyone who's building out a private 5G network moving forward, there are a couple of things that you need to consider. The first part is just cross-platform visibility. So 5G accelerates things at 10 to 100 times faster than ever before. The SLAs around network management today are sub 5 milliseconds when you're thinking about 5G. And these private networks are typically utilized for environments around smart connected platforms, manufacturing, autonomous manufacturing, if you will, campus-like environments designed to optimize performance. The challenge is that the speed of networking has accelerated, the speed of the threat environment has accelerated, the level of complexity has accelerated, and the question you have is, what type of strategy am I utilizing? What types of tools am I utilizing to address these types of problems that are occurring at such high speeds that the average human just simply can't process that volume, variety, and velocity of data? Just the sheer volume of data within a private 5G network calls for really an integrated and automated approach that's AI powered so that you can get your arms around just the sheer volume of things that are happening in that network. Secondly, the biggest issue around security breaches is visibility. Do you really understand what's happening in that environment? Do you understand the behavior of the users, the things, the entities within that private network, especially in IoT and OT environments? Do you have a baseline understanding of what should be happening in that environment at any given point of the day or night? I think from a security perspective, the biggest challenge is that lack of understanding. We as defenders typically operate with the perspective of what should be in that environment, what should be happening, what's the normal look like, what normal should look like. The adversary works from the perspective of what normal actually looks like, what's actually in that environment, the actual behavior, the actual state of the devices within that private network, the actual incidence of how well an air gap that environment truly is. If it's the one thing I've seen is that private networks aren't really private. There are gaps in misconfigured devices. There are openings that we're not aware of. There are air-gapped OT environments because of an overlap between IT and OT systems. There are ways in. So the word private, implies a certain level of built-in security, which may not be there. It's a false level of security in many ways. And so as I build out these networks, I would want to make sure that I have a very demonstrated ability to really understand everything that's in that network, everything that should be in that network, and what it's doing. I would apply the zero trust principles across that 5G network. In a larger sense, though, I have to think about that private 5G network is not operating in isolation. That 5G network is connected to the broader enterprise network, and that's typically an SD-WAN infrastructure today that connects directly to multiple private public cloud services. And as you begin integrating that capability in, you need to match the performance across that private network into a larger 5G ecosystem. An ecosystem is key. So what do you have today? You have technology in 5G that's incredibly reliable, high speed, low latency, optimized to generate better experiences and outcomes because it's so responsive. You have SD-WAN that's inherently self-healing to always optimize the wide area access methodology. And then you have security that is powered by AI so that you're continually learning and improving. One of the things that very few people understand or consider is that in order for all three of those elements to work, they need to work together. Because you may have great 5G performance, but if your SD-WAN architecture isn't well integrated, it doesn't fail over. It doesn't do forward error correcting. It's not as integrated in sync with your application performance. And likewise with your security, as you change your wide area networks methodologies, you move across 5G to 4G, LTE, broadband, or MPLS, the network architecture also needs to shift in sync with what's happening there. Likewise with security, as you make changes on your network side, are you scaling up or you're scaling down in terms of your security infrastructure? Does your security team understand what's happening on the network side and vice versa? Is it a DDoS attack, or did your marketing department launch a great campaign and you're DDoSing yourself, for instance? And likewise, the elasticity and scalability of the cloud, the very promise of why we move things in the cloud, is only delivered if the networking is optimized and if the security is optimized. So what I see now is a need to understand that 5G private networks, that they need to be secure, they need to be isolated, but at the same time, they exist within an ecosystem that spans networking, security, and the compute. And for all three to actually work, they need to be integrated. So one of the biggest challenges I've seen is siloed operations and technologies and organizational stacks, which don't allow either the platforms or the people to have visibility across them. And when you do that, you in many ways negate the very advantages of 5G, of SD-WAN, and of the cloud. It can't be adaptive if it's not integrated, and it really can't be flexible unless it's automated and powered by AI. So as you think about private 5G networks, absolutely bring them online, but also think about them as part of a larger ecosystem. And whether it's your legacy networks or your new networks, make sure you really have good visibility into what's actually happening there.